Hey, I'm Flip. I'm one of the guys that created PBRgen. PBRgen is a tool that you can use to create seamless physically based rendering materials for your game or your animation. And what we tried really hard to do with the tool is to create a way in which the AI is steerable or directable so that you can create the things that you want to create and that it doesn't feel like a slot machine. And that means that we not only put like a lot of effort into how to implement AI, but we also put like a lot of manual controls in there and like the little things, the little tweaks that you can do on your material to make it stand out. Let's go over the tool. So this is the tool. On the left side you have your library. That's where your materials are. There are some examples in here. Here you have some tutorials. Center part is the main viewport. That's where your shader ball lives. There are some hotkeys here that you can look at. There are some options for the viewport under this button. And on the right side, this column, that's where you create all your materials. And to show the whole flow of the tool, I'll just quickly create a material now, and then later I'll go more in depth over all the inputs that you can use. But like to get familiar with the whole core concept of the tool, I'll just create a quick material now. To get started, hit the big blue button. You can generate the start texture or you can upload the start texture. I'll go over the generation process right now. I'll cover the upload as well later in the video. So a start texture is just basically one single texture that you use to create your PBR maps with. And as in a lot of AI tools, you can do that with a prompt box. So I can just type here wood floor, for example, and then I can generate some start textures. And when they're done, you can click them and you can view them on the viewport, on the shader ball. You can also view them in 2D with this thing on the top. That is basically how you can create a start texture. This can be a lot longer and there are quite a few controls in here as well. One that is very handy for like structured objects like blanks and stuff like that is to add a guide map. We have some presets in our tool. I can use a chevron, for example, and then you can see that the generations will steer towards that guide map. Then you get results that look more like this. Well, if you have something that you like, you just hit the continue button and then you go to step 2. And step 2 is like the step where you can edit your start texture with AI. So what I can do, for example, is say make cherry wood floor. And cherry wood has this like distinct red color. I mean, you can do anything, but like it's more like to show what this step does. And this step is optional. When you're happy with that, then you can continue to the next step, and that is step 3, and that's where you create your PBR maps, and also you do the last step to create a truly seamless material. So like this part, and you can offset the preview, is the part that gets in-painted. And yeah, well, something like that would be alright. So this area will be recalculated so that the material is truly seamless. Choose your resolution and create material. And you can also, by the way, work on multiple materials at the same time. So I can switch back to another material and then switch back to this one. And once it's done, it will show a green check mark here. And now it's loaded, or it's loading the textures that it has made. And then you can see that it did some breakup on the surface. So you have some breakup in your roughness and stuff like that. All these things are controllable here. So you have your color, your metalness and reflection and roughness and everything. You can also add extra maps here. And each map is controllable with a layer stack. And that means that like this is all operations that are calculated from top to bottom. So I can also say, maybe put a hue in there and then I can change the color. You can delete these or you can add gamma and something else. And yeah, you can also invert or like change the order of these things. And yeah, that's how you can tweak your material. And when you're done with that, then you go to the last step, and that's called export. That's where you select your maps that you want to export. This one doesn't have metalness, so I can turn that off. The tool automatically makes a name for your material. You can choose the resolution. You can choose whether you want to include the GLB file, so you can drag and drop it in your software, stuff like that. And when you're happy, you just hit download material, and that will create a zip file for you. And then you have your material on your computer. Let's go over the generate section a little bit more in detail. We just typed a prompt in here. But what you can also do is, if you have like an image that you want to create, is just drag an image in there, and then it will analyze that image and create a prompt for you. And then you don't have to type everything, and then you have like a good base to work with. What you can also do is change the prompt style. Right now the prompt style is the standard one, or like the default one I should say, and it's realistic albedo. You can expand it here and you can also edit it, but that gives you like a realistic albedo texture. But you can also, for example, say that you want maybe something in a pop art style. Or you want something in a black and white pencil drawing style. And then you can see that you get textures that are more like this or like this for the pencil drawing. And also with this one, you can also drag in an image. So for example, you can say, I want something in the style of this pointillism painting. And then you see that it adapts the prompt style and it creates like a specific prompt style for that image that you dragged in. And then when you hit that, then you can see the difference. And what you can also do is give it some input colors. And these are just like boxes that you can pick with the color picker. You can also go outside your screen and pick it from another program on your computer. There's a random switch in here that you can get some random colors with. But also what you can do here is, again, the trick, just drag an image in there. And then AI will extract your input colors for you. Well, the other one is the guide map. We already covered that, but yeah, so you can choose a preset, you can generate your own guide map. Right now we only have a brick generator in there, but we're planning to add more generators also for like floors, herringbone, chevron, stuff like that. And you can also upload a file. Black and white files work the best for now. But I'll choose a preset. Let's use the herringbone this time. And then generate some start textures, and you can see here what it did with the input colors and the changed prompt style. You get more like stylistic things. And here you can see what it does with the guide map. And that's a way that you can really steer your material. Well, I'm going for something realistic now, so I'll put that back and generate some more. The next option is the model that you can choose, and our tool is fully agnostic, so we plan to like put a lot of models in there. Whatever comes out we will put in there because the quality goes up all the time, and yeah, that's the idea behind it. The standard model is Flux Klein. It is very cheap, it's very fast, it has really good quality. That being said, some of the more expensive models do have even better quality and prompt adherence. But this is like definitely the best price quality ratio. Here you see it's realistic again, but I can also create some textures with some other models. So I can use Nano Banana, I can use GPT image, for example, I can use Seedream, and then in that way you can see what those models do. And like, yeah, each model has its advantages, its own look, its own quirks, but you just get different looks. So this is Nano Banana. You see that it stays closer to the colors than Flux. And then like also these models can be a lot slower. GPT image is quite slow. So we have to wait a little bit until they're done. But I can already tell you that like some models, you can choose the resolution of the models, and some models have like only 2K and some models have only 1K. That depends a little bit what they support. So here you have the image for Seedream. This is very crispy, and you see that it doesn't handle the input colors super well on this instance. But it has a really nice crisp look to it, which can be nice for realistic materials. And then you have this one was GPT image, and then you see like, yeah, that really didn't listen to those colors. But the quality is very good, and the prompt adherence overall is also very good, except from the colors. So yeah, that is a little bit like all the different inputs that you have for your material, and how you can create something with that. So now I'm going to show another technique that you can use to create a material, and instead of generating a start texture, we'll upload a start texture. I have an image here that I found on the internet, and I'll just with print screen drag a box, and then I'll when I hover over the upload section, hit Ctrl V, paste it, and then say continue with that texture. Well, this is just added to the shader bowl. It's like has a lot of perspective and depth of field and stuff like that. But we have a very good preset in our tool, and that's called strong perspective removal. And this stuff is like, it's super random. You have to know like that this model GPT image is really good at this with this prompt. But that's why we put it in the tool, so that you don't have to think about it. We figured it out already. And it works quite well on a lot of materials. And yeah, also when newer models come out that are even better at it, then we will update these prompts and continue like that. So what it did is it created a texture from it. And well, you see the seams here on the top. It's pretty good. You can also look at it in 2D view, hotkey V by the way. And then when you hit T, then you can see the tiling. And yeah, well, it's pretty nice. There's a little bit offset, but yeah, it created that from this texture. And so this texture went to this one, and that's just pretty cool. And what you can also do in the edit section is that we have this switch called color match. And then you can even match it more, because this is what came out of the generation. And then say if I match it to the colors of the image, then you can get more closely to it. Let's put this next to it for reference. So this is off. and this is matched. Yeah, and then it's again, you go to your next material step, the inpainting, doesn't have to be a lot here, choose your resolution and create it. And then you can see it added some maps and made the PBR material of it. And what I would like to do now is show you a little bit like how you can have more control on these things. Well, first of all, the normal map, you can look at it in effect mode by hitting 3, and then you can see that it's quite a bit, so you want to maybe tone it down a little bit, like have something in there, but not too much. The displacement map is off because our tool thought like, oh, this is a floor texture that doesn't have displacement. You can handle it with bump, but yeah, you can also turn it on and then you can get something like this. Doesn't really work here for this floor texture. Excellent for cobblestones or whatever, or bricks. So I'll turn it off again. This is the roughness, and we're looking in effect mode right now, so you can really see what it does. Also, by the way, you can look at it with HDRIs in the tool. There are quite a few ones in there, so you can also switch them around. They're all here. And the right mouse button drag is rotate the lighting. And yeah, so the roughness, you can change it and you can see how it's built up here. So what the tool did is like, it's standard, it calculates it from the luminance, and it sets the input values of the levels so that it's like black and white, and then it set the output values based on what it would expect of a wood floor material. But you can also change this. Let me remove the levels and let me look at it in this way. You can, for example, also say, instead of the luminance, I want to do a high pass filter or a saturation filter. Doesn't work so good in this one. High pass filter, and then you also have like a slider for this filter to set the amount. And then you can use levels to first set the auto input. This is a really handy button. If you click that, it will try to find the darkest and the brightest points of your image, and then now you have an image that is super contrasty. So if I look at it in flat mode, then you can see it. And then you can use the output levels to set it as exactly as you want it. So if I look at it from the lighting, I put my specular there, you can really see like, oh yeah, if I drag that out a little bit more, maybe change the gamma a little bit, make these things a little wider, add a little blur, not that much, just a little. And then you have like way more control over your specular. Well, and the same goes for the material itself. Maybe you think it's a little bit too saturated, too yellow. Change a little bit the saturation. Make it a little bit more reddish. And by the way, all these inputs, you can also drag them in this one, or you can control drag them, and then you have like smaller increments. And they make it a little bit more red, and yeah, you can also change the order of these things. And then you have something like that. And what you can also do is add extra maps. So you can add a clear coat or a coat roughness and a coat normal, and like a coat that emulates like a little layer of varnish on top of it. Well, and if you want, for example, the coat to like fill in a little bit of the small crevices, you can visualize that by putting a little blur on it, not too much, and also make it a little bit less strong so that you just see a little bit of breakup in the surface. Coat roughness, make it way more glossy. And the coat itself, let's use a map for that, and then just choose the displacement. And then with the levels tool, we can the black stuff really black and the whiter stuff white. And then with the out values, you can decrease the coat a little bit. Let me look at that in an HDRI view. You can really see what it does. Like put a little bit of varnish on there, not too much. And you can see that the normal is quite strong still, so I'll reduce that even further, just a little bit. And then you have your polished floor. And maybe you can also put some breakup into the roughness of the polish as well. So I'll add a map there as well. And I'll invert that one. Just bring them really close. You can see here what it does. And then you have something like that. Yeah, so that's how you can use those maps. The last thing that I want to show is how to create a material from a reference with the generate section. And it's a little bit, there's an image that I found, it's a less standard material. And yeah, that's I think why it's nice to show. So I'll just grab a part with print screen, generate it. I'll just start by creating a prompt. And then just see what it does. And yeah, well, the colors are very off, and these are still blanks. So first, let me just grab something to sample the colors. Ctrl V on top when you hover over it. And maybe also try it with a different model. You see that it, by the way, does a little bit like the non-planky stuff, but doesn't really work that good with this model, with Flux. So we might need to try and use some other ones. And see what they do. Yeah, this is already a little bit closer, but still a little weird. But I can try to make another one with that one. That was Nano Banana. Maybe And here you have the Sea Dream one. Yeah. Gets it somewhere right, but not really. Yeah, this is pretty close. Nano Banana. It's cool as well. Yeah, I like this one too. These were the ChatGPT ones. Yeah, I think I'll go for this one. And then you can see that, yeah, with trying a little bit of stuff and trying some inputs, you can really also create materials that are less standard. And let's see how tileable this is. It's pretty tileable, so I don't need to inpaint that much. And there's the material. Yeah. And then you have something like this, and I think I pretty much like it. I mean, you can do the same trick here, because here you see it good with the standard luminance-based roughness. If I look at it in the flat mode, you can really see that you have differences in the planes. So for something like that, the high pass is really nice. Increase it a little and set the levels without input. Then you just get a, yeah, pretty nice. Maybe the normal map is a little bit strong. Let's see what the displacement map does. Doesn't really help. It's also a little bit the way that the displacement works in a viewport here that we want to improve. If you blur it a little bit, you can see that it looks better. But from the reference, I think the planks, they were just flat, so I'll just remove the displacement here. But yeah, so that's how you can see how you can create materials and how to tile. And that's basically how the tool works. Thanks for watching and cheers.